Maintaining impartiality as much as humanly possible is unquestionably how you should approach any given film, whether you're a critic or not. Far too many times I've seen the suggestion of content creators out there avoid a film, and that suggestion spreads like wildfire, and so many people end up having very specific opinions on films before they even watch it. I mean, you're told that M. Night Shyamalan is trash now, therefore you scoff. Maybe roll your eyes a little bit every time that you hear he's making another movie. You're told the Emoji Movie is one of the worst films in the history of animated films, but it's really not. It's average at worst. The point I'm trying to make is to make sure and respect the opinion of others, but at the end of the day, do not forget to make your own opinion. You might be surprised how different it is from others. I had to learn that time and time again with all of these escape room mechanic films because a majority of people don't actually care for them in general. Others, like myself, have fun with them, whether their budget reaches the edge of the stratosphere or is clearly made with a budget that screams pennies on the dollar. It all depends on how it's made. And even though I did hear some negative things about Follow Me before diving in, I'm glad that I still watched it because, yes, I had fun with it. Follow Me, also known as No Escape in other countries, is an escape room film about a social media influencer played by Keegan Allen that dares his followers to come up with new and exciting challenges, anything that'll scare him and boost more viewership. That's when he's tasked to fly over to Russia to try an escape room like never before, specifically custom built for him. Even though a lot of these movies feed off of the energy and the plot lines of similar films, I can't help but still get sucked into the mystery, into the puzzles being solved, into the reality or lack thereof of how it could potentially exist in real life. It's all fascinating, but as I've said, it does borrow from other well-known films. In the case of Follow Me, it'll be hard not to draw the conclusion that it was mostly inspired by Saw and Hostel. The first half of the film is a little bit more engrossing, I would say, than the last half, but that's because the last half feels more like the Hostel movie than escape room mechanics. The first half now, that feels a lot more in tune with what Saw was all about, which is fine, because at least for me, Saw was always escape room mechanics anyway. It was just twisted. So no, the movie, not all that original, but this is weirdly one of those subgenres of film that I already expect originality to be lacking. Originality is not really why I watch them in the first place. Originality is simply just a nice surprise to have if it actually exists. But I am mostly here to just have fun while watching a movie, and Follow Me is a lot of fun. It has the aspects from those aforementioned films, yeah, but it also has a more balanced approach to its entire vibe. When these kids first start the games, they aren't taking anything seriously. They're laughing off certain aspects that in Saw, people would be screaming bloody murder at. It does eventually get darker as the film progresses though, but thankfully it remains mostly grounded, and the outcome, while somewhat predictable, was still a lot of fun to get to that point. I actually had a good laugh recognizing the two main actors here. You got Keegan Allen and Holland Roden, two actors from TV shows that, well, a lot of girls watch, such as Teen Wolf, where Holland plays Lydia, and Keegan Allen is known much more for his role as Toby in Pretty Little Liars. Yet, I felt as if the film did a pretty decent job conveying the idea that his character really has been an influencer for the past decade. The editing, as far as the parts of the film showcasing live streaming and his on-screen persona versus his off-screen persona, is actually a solid way to introduce the movie and introduce the characters, since the film gets to be darker and darker as it goes on. The biggest issue I'd say the film faces is, in fact, its unoriginality and unavoidable predictability. Before the film really began, I already had a couple of running theories going on. That being said, as the film progresses, it does a pretty darn good job at making you go back and forth, questioning if your theory was right or dead wrong. So that is pretty good. Overall, it's a fun movie if you are somebody that enjoys escape room type films. If you're not, obviously, you might hate it. It obviously doesn't beat the big budgeted escape room series, but it still makes me want to check out the director's other escape room film that he actually made prior to making this one. I will be rating this a B-. It is decent but flawed. The flaws that it runs into, like I said before, is that it just wasn't fresh enough. The puzzles are good. They're not as extravagant as stuff that you would see in Saw or even the Escape Room series, but they're much more grounded and much more in line with what you might actually find in a real escape room. Yes, it does go a little bit over the top, but the way that it begins is similar. But guys, have you seen Follow Me? Or I think it's called No Exit in other countries. For me, it was called Follow Me, so that's what I'm calling it. If you have, leave your thoughts about it in the comments section down below. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.
Follow me.